Welcome to Working for Progress, a podcast that connects us through conversations about how we craft our working lives and make progress. Through open and thoughtful conversations, our podcast starts with simple pleasures, finishes in awe, and meanders through career journeys in between. This podcast is rooted in Tribe Porty, a community co-working space and creative hub filled with entrepreneurs, freelancers, charities, social enterprises, and SMEs. We believe in the power of connection, sharing stories that inspire, challenge, and celebrate the many ways we shape our working lives. Join us as we dive into the realities of work, purpose, and progress, one conversation at a time. Today, we welcome Jane Booth, a leadership coach and change facilitator who helps people unlock their potential and lead with purpose. Practitioner-led and PhD-informed, she blends creativity, curiosity, and deep insight to support growth, leadership, and meaningful transformation. Welcome, Jane. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I do believe you're Alice's neighbour, is that correct?
Yeah, we are dog walking.
Pals.
Yeah, it's funny how you randomly... I met most people through my dog.
I think that's fairly common, isn't it? Yeah. Good people, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something like, if doesn't matter if people don't like you, but it's when dogs start not liking you, you've got worry.
Ah, right, okay, yeah. That probably makes a lot of sense, really. Good, we're going to start nice and simple with your 5 simple pleasures.
5 simple pleasures. I have to start with coffee. Mm-hmm. Like, black coffee is, one of my, great joys, I would say, which is, I don't know if that sounds sad or not. What else? Walking my dog, particularly early mornings on the beach, calm sea, nobody else around. Pleasure 3. That's music. Listening to music, lots of different types, but just being able to and Alexa just being able to say, hey, play me something. So definitely music. Conversation, just sitting and chatting and with no particular purpose or reason for the conversation, just seeing where things go. And number 5, see, this was a real challenge to start with, to think of just 5. I think there's something about play and just being able to play in different contexts. So that might be with my 11-year-old niece, or I do some stuff with young people, just playing a game of cards or something that's just kind of unscripted and random.
Nice. So you like a bit of spontaneous things.
Yes, I guess maybe that's a theme in the kind of random conversations. And
coffee's also a very common one. And for you, is it about the taste or is it about the ritual of a morning practice, or is it both? And when did it start?
So I never used to drink tea or coffee, and then I started working in this particular job, and very quickly I realised that I needed something to survive the endless meetings. And I hate tea. Never liked tea, so it was coffee. So it became it started with a bit of a thing to do at a meeting. So I guess it was the kind of ritual side of things, but I think I quite quickly realised that actually I just really I think it is the taste, and I think it's always the first cup of coffee in the morning, which is kind of like take the dog out for a walk, come back, have a coffee. I just find it kind of weird because it's quite a strong flavour, and often you don't like it when you're younger and kids don't like it. So I don't know, I think sometimes we train ourselves to like certain things. So I was just curious if you thought that you were born to love coffee or it came after. It's definitely something that, it was born out of necessity. I need something to keep me occupied and get me through this meeting. But also, I think there was something about being part of something. So in that environment, actually, if you didn't drink coffee, you missed out on some of the chat and some of the just random things over. So actually, yes, it was about I've got to do something, but looking back, maybe it was actually about being connected to people and being able to have those conversations. I guess it is synonymous with meeting for a coffee, a chat, a social kind of element to it. Okay, we'll move on from coffee. I was just curious about that. Do you have core values that you live by? And if you do, what are they? Yeah, so I definitely have core values. I guess I've got core values and then I have guiding principles, which are kind of slightly different. But I'd say my values are very much around care, compassion and kindness, and really those being at the fore of everything I try to do. And then sitting underneath that are 8 kind of principles which mainly I suppose guide what I do work-wise, but increasingly I think actually when I look back and think about them, they apply to most aspects of my life, which kind of makes sense because that's what values are. They're you.
And there's something that you feel like you can trace them back for a long time, or have they been developed over more recent years?
Yeah, so I think, yes, if I sit back now and look, I think they've always been there in what I do. It's only really since I've worked for myself that they've become more overt. Because when I started working for myself, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. Like, where do I start? So I sat down with a big flip chart and I love quotes. So I just started writing out quotes that felt meaningful. And then the researcher in me was like, oh, I could do some thematic analysis here. So I kind of started grouping them. And that evolved into the guiding principles. And then actually, when I sort of started living with those for a while, I was like, okay, there's something that sits above that, which then became that kind of care and kindness aspect, which, yeah, definitely has always been a part of who I am and what I do.
And tell me what you're working on just now.
So the big thing that I'm involved in at the moment is a program called WISH, which stands for Women into Sport High Performance Pathway. Cool. And it's basically a program that's funded by Olympic Solidarity, and the overall aim is reducing the gender gap with coaches at the Olympic Games. Because the last couple of Olympic Games, yes, there's been parity athlete-wise, but still only 13% of coaches are women. Okay. So yeah, and it's an incredible program, and it's a real privilege to work on it because the women that come on it are amazing already. And actually, what we do is it's a leadership program, so it's really about helping them see what their super strengths are, really helping them see that they are incredibly competent, but just building their confidence and courage to be able to operate within a system that inherently is still a patriarchal system of sport. And how do we together really start to shift that and change that and challenge what has been the status quo for a very long time.
Did you start that organisation?
No, so that's a friend of mine basically just was like, hey, we've got this programme, come work with me. Actually, I think her email was, come play, do you want to come play on this? And I was like, yeah, I'm in. But yeah, so there's people I've known for a while, and then I'm now one of the facilitators that we shape the programme. And yeah, it's I feel incredibly lucky, but maybe luck isn't part of that.
No, probably not. And were you an athlete? Are you an athlete yourself?
No.
Coach?
I've worked in coaching. Okay. I quickly realised at a young age that I was never designed to be an elite athlete. I was a rower, and I think I was 17 or 18, and basically went to GB trials and got invited to go to a camp. This camp happened to be like between Christmas and over New Year, and I was like, no, that's not me. I've got other stuff. I've got a job. I play hockey. I've got other things. So I was like, okay, I think I'm just meant to be a participant.
But you know how to be an athlete, and quite a top performing athlete, obviously.
Yeah.
Invited. Yeah.
So one of my last employed role, I was head of coaching for the Professional Golfers Association.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of responsible for like coaching strategy, but also had a lot to do with like writing coaching qualifications and kind of learning about stuff that I didn't realise existed. But yeah.
So are you involved then? Kind of at the top end of coaches, because if you're talking about Olympics, then do you get involved in the kind of work that happens with younger people, or? Yeah,
so it's across the board.
Is it?
This program is like, it's the elite coaches. So these are coaches who want to be taking athletes, and some of them are already taking athletes to World Championships and Olympic Games. And a lot of them are ex-Olympians themselves.
Okay. So
yeah, sitting in a room of like Olympic gold medalist, you're kind of there going, okay, what am I doing here? And then like remembering, no, okay, I'm here for a different reason. But yeah, then some of my work is around like participation level and supporting coaches at like real kind of just really trying to shift the culture of coaching at grassroots level, so that it doesn't become kind of what you see, the angry parents on the sidelines.
Yes.
It's much more supportive. And I do some voluntary stuff with young people as well, which that lights my spark, I think.
Yeah, I bet. And is that full time then, that position with
No, so it's one of the things that I do.
Okay.
And then I do some research and mentoring. And I think, I love the variety that I've been able to create for myself. So that does take up, and we've just started a new 4-year cycle of that, so that will take up a lot of time. But yeah, I'm always looking for other things just to kind of keep me interested, and just to do different things and tap into different parts of what makes me tick.
And what's the 4-year cycle? Can you explain what you mean?
So Olympiad is a 4-year cycle.
Okay.
So everything, like when you're in sport, everything operates on if you're in Olympic sport, everything operates on that 4-year cycle. So funding is, it was Paris 2024 up to the next games in LA in 2028. So it kind of works on that 4-year cycle.
And what's the kind of demographic of women coaches in general versus male coaches?
Wow, great question.
Do you know?
No, and I guess it depends where you go and what you're looking at, whether you're looking UK, whether you're looking worldwide, whether you're looking the Wish program it's a global program, so we have coaches from like every part of the globe, and that's that's you learn so much just by chatting with people from different countries, different experiences, and I think one of the really strong points about getting women together, particularly in a sport, which is very rarely do you go into a room and you see other women, so going into a room where it's like, wow, it's just women, and the conversations that start quickly become really rich, and people just kind of go, oh, it's not just me. And there's something really powerful about kind of being able to connect. And one of the challenges a lot of women face is like for a coach who's maybe employed by a governing body to be like, hey, I'm going to have a family now. The life of a coach is travelling, it's on the road, so there's some work that's some research around what needs to change to enable female athletes and female coaches to be able to either travel with family or still do the job that they are unbelievably competent and capable of doing with a family. Also,
how about the men help their families take care of the children as well that are coaches?
And I mean it isn't unique to sport in a way, because every every industry and sector pretty much, I guess, is still very male dominated, and I guess it's trying to shift the systems, and there's a lot of talk within sport about the systems, and it's like, hey, but systems are made up of people, so we need people to do things differently, we need people to make those shifts and changes and recognise that, oh, actually I could do something different, maybe it doesn't have to be this way.
I'm kind of pairing it with like women in business even, and like the opportunities there not to fall into the trap of how it's already been done before, and kind of along that line of tantrums and bullying and power over instead of power with kind of thing. So do you feel kind of hopeful that women can bring that, or do you feel that sometimes it kind of falls into the trap of what's come before?
I choose to feel hopeful. Okay. I think that's and I work with a friend of mine who has done some amazing things with women in like the financial technology sector, and she runs like women in leadership programs globally, and I support her and work alongside her on that, and I do notice this there's similar challenges and issues, and the power of women being able to connect with other women and support each other. And I think what I feel and what I hear is people coming back and saying, actually I did try something different, and having the confidence to keep doing that rather than get sucked back into that's the way that's how we've always done it. I mean the conversations around the difference between women being called aggressive or arrogant, whereas a man would be called confident and ambitious. So those absolutely still exist, and yet seeing the incredible women that come through some of these programs, the future's bright. We just need to be able to work together to shift and challenge the culture within which we operate. And
we have like amazing things in women's sports just now, don't we, with football and whatnot.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of change needed still, but at least you can see a change now. Like, I think I was watching women's rugby, and I like rugby, but I'm not like really into it. And I started to cry, and I think it was because they were all female and the refs were female, and I just got overwhelmed with this, something I'd never seen before. And that's all that cry was. It was like, I've actually never seen this before in my life.
And I mean, the next few weeks are going to be amazing for sport because the Women's Rugby World Cup is coming to the UK. Okay. So there is going to be women's rugby all over. And yeah, I mean, the players are incredible. They are unbelievable athletes.
Yeah.
And so it's an amazing opportunity for that to be showcased. And to be on TV. I think that makes a big difference, having like, whether it's the women's football, whether it's the rugby, accessible on mainstream TV, that people can sit down and go, actually, this is pretty good.
Yeah. No longer can they say, oh no, that's not worthy of being viewed.
Yeah. And I was away on a camp with young people when the football the final was, and I was sat, and there was like two Scottish teenagers, a girl and a boy, behind me watching the football and cheering on the England Lionesses, and I was like, okay, that, like, if that had been the men's team, that wouldn't have happened. But the fact that actually there's something quite uniting, and a different audience, and I was like, there feels like a shift. There feels like something really positive to hold on to.
So good timing to kind of do this important work. Amazing. So before you got into this, what led you to this, what you're working on now? What were you doing before?
Wow. How far back do you want to go? Is that like
you can go back as far as you like, but maybe significant roles, because quite often there's a thread. We don't often do one thing for the rest of our lives, but it all makes sense even when it's unrelated sometimes.
I mean, I think when I look back, like, people and developing people is at the heart of what I've always done. Like, I knew from a young age that sport and music have always been my two passions. I ended up working in sport, and music became a hobby. But I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I did sport at university. I went into a sports development job, and that's kind of been my thread.
Okay.
I then, got to a point where I was in an employed role, and I was like, I'm not getting the best out of me. The organisation isn't getting the best out of me. So what do I do? And at that point I was like looking around for jobs, but nothing was there that really like lit my fire. So I was like, I could just work for myself for a bit, see what happens. It was never part of a big plan.
Okay.
And I was like, getting a bit of work, this is quite fun. And I think where I'm at now is, the things that I'm, I look at all the work I have done for the last few years, and actually I can say it's stuff that I really care about. And it's, it's developing people, it's research, it's like, I'm a qualitative researcher, I can't do numbers.
Okay.
So it's stories.
I was ask what kind of research you do.
It's stories, it's people, it's looking for themes, creating themes, that kind of stuff. So I think at the heart of what I do is people, and one of my strapline, if you like, is great people make amazing things happen. And yet often all of us need a little bit of a nudge on the way, or a little reminder that we have the potential to be great. So I think my work in different ways is about helping people just believe in their own potential.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need a lot of reminders often, actually.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah. All of us,
and often you sit there and go, I can do it for other people. Right, who's going to come do it for me?
Exactly, yeah. What's the biggest risk you've taken to date, either personally or professionally? If you could choose one.
I once left a full-time, well-paid job to pursue my dreams of being a rock star.
Yes.
I can maybe start with that one.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that. I was in a band, and I was working for an organisation that like had a nice job. It was going well. But I was like, what if there was this little nagging kind of doubt that was like, I can do the job, but what if this was the moment that I can't miss?
What was your band called?
We were called the Poet Dogs.
Poet Dogs. What kind of music are we talking about?
Well, we were monk rock.
Monk rock? I don't know that I know that.
No, it's basically our lead singer was his first job when he left uni was he worked in a it was called Shrewsbury Quest. It was down in England. It was a museum, and he spent his days dressed up as a monk, and like,
but not actually a monk.
Not actually a monk, pretending to be a monk. So a lot of his songs were. We had a song called Ophelia's Postcard, which was about going to a monastery and falling in love with a nun. There was So it was kind of
And your role in the band?
I was a bit of everything: guitar, keys, singer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did have some good support slots. So this is showing my age. The Wonder Stuff, the Alarm, the Levelers. But hey, it was fun. We didn't make it.
How long did you do that for? Well, it depends on what your definition of make it was.
Very true. We never got that elusive record contract, but it was a lot of fun.
But you toured and you played and you performed.
Yeah, it was. And there's something I love being part of a band. There's something really special about being part of a band and playing music.
Yeah, it's a bit like a team, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So maybe that was a big risk.
How long did you do that?
Oh, probably a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I was getting married. I was like, right, maybe it's time to grow up and get a proper job and do grown-up things. So yeah, I did.
Did you decide that amongst the band, or was it a...
They still carried on.
Oh, they carried on, so you left the band.
I left the band. Okay. And yeah, they still carried on and played a few more gigs and I think they changed the bass player, so a few people changed.
Okay.
But hey, it was fun. It was fun while it lasted.
And how do you do music now?
So a complete change. I play bass guitar for the worship band at church.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So yeah,
you still do it then.
So I guess there's the monk. Maybe there's a bit of a monk
Monk's
connection.
coming back.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm fairly new to playing the bass. But I quite like being part of the back line and being like, setting the rhythm and being part of that. But again, it's being part of a team. It's being part of something bigger than you.
Yeah, creating something.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd still do some music.
Nice. Do you have a most random or worst job you've ever done?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this, and I don't think I have. I've got moments that were interesting moments. But my first job, I was a lifeguard at a swimming pool. I did swimming teaching. All the jobs I've had have done different things. I did sports coaching when I was younger. And none of the jobs that I've had, I would say, are awful jobs. Okay,
that's nice.
Yeah, which is I feel quite fortunate. I can share a moment. And I look back and actually it's quite like a really random moment, but I look back and I'm like, I'm not sure that would be allowed these days. In my lifeguarding days, I was young. I was like 16. It was a Saturday night and we rented out the pool and there was like a spa and like a little sauna and stuff. And I was just sat there and I was like, those people don't have any clothes on coming out of that sauna. And the guy who was boss came over and went, surprise! I'm like, okay. It was bearing in mind I was 16.
Oh no.
It was a 40th birthday party. And I just remember sitting there going, please, nobody drown because I don't know what
want to
grab
rescue
hold
you.
of.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, and that does get brought up several times on birthdays and like, do you remember when? I'm like, yes, I do.
That's a lot, maybe. Depends what kind of 16-year-old you were.
Yeah,
still.
I just remember going, I don't know where to look.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna look at what anybody's doing in the pool. Just please don't drown, and we'll
sure
be
that
all right.
Be allowed.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that is allowed.
I don't think that's allowed now. I think that's why you have health and safety.
Yeah,
rules
exactly. How do you think about your working life kind of as you get older? Being that we like to, I don't know, craft a kind of working life differently and the way you talk about doing different things and things that are interesting to you. Do you plan on working longer? Do you plan on working less? Like, have you thought about that? And what are your thoughts if you have?
Yeah, and I guess I have thought about it. And I think for me, the work I do, I feel really fortunate is I love the work I do. And the question, what bad jobs have you had?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I look back and go, none. So I think as long as there's work for me, as long as I feel that the work is there and it's meaningful and I'm there for a reason, then yeah, I don't have a date where I'm like, right, I'm retiring at that date. And I think what I'm better at now is like, it's a sunny day, let's go out for a dog walk. I'll go down and so I'm much better at balancing that. Actually, it's okay not to work today.
Yeah.
I can give my permission to have the day off.
It's funny how we find that really hard though, even when we work for ourselves. You feel, or you do it, but then you feel bad the entire time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to decondition ourselves quite a lot, actually.
And you know, when I started working myself, two of the hardest things were, what do I call myself?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not a director or a chief exec or a founder, hence chaser of dreams. That's what I settled on.
Nice.
But also it's like, what do I wear? Like all of these things, and what are my working hours? You kind of get so conditioned to somebody
telling you're
working 9 to 5, and if you're not at your desk, we don't think you're working.
Yeah.
And so it does take a long time to shift out of that, but then it's like, hey, I can make the rules.
Yeah, it does. And then the responsibility lies on you, so you might as well take the days off when you can.
Yeah, when it's sunny, because the winter will come round and it won't be so nice.
I know, if you can bear the heat. No, I'm kidding. Just because you said you love quotes, I wondered if you had a favourite quote, or even a favourite leader or quote that you wanted to share.
There's so many.
Yeah.
The one that's that I use, like, it's on my website, and it really kind of, I think it shapes some of the things I do, is I saw it when it was my first job. I was an assistant youth sport development officer. And I walked into a school called Stourport Primary School. It's a tiny school. It's a little primary school. And I walked into the hall, and there's a quote on the wall which said, "Dreams are always taller than you, which is why you have to reach high to make them true." And they'd got every child in the school to draw a picture of their dream and had put it up just out of reach. And that stuck with me. And I think that's something that guides what I do, and just kind of, and as a reminder to me, actually, it's like, we can't quite touch stuff. We have to, and there's something about proactively chasing after things rather than just following, because following feels quite passive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love Brené Brown. Yeah, I love some of her quotes around vulnerability and clear is kind. That's a thing that often comes into my head when I'm like, okay, be clear.
Do you have a moment you could share with us where you're in a state of flow, or the last time you experienced awe?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this as well. And it's, for me, it's when I'm playing the bass in the worship team. And I was trying to think, why is it? What is it about it? And I suppose, trying to draw out the themes. There's something about being part of something bigger than myself, but also the need to tune into others. So it's not about me. It's about listening to what's happening, responding to what's happening in the room, and just sometimes feeling like I'm not thinking about this, it just happens.
I think music and sport are good for states of flow because it kind of, if you practice at it as well, and you're not thinking about it, it's muscle memory, and it's kind of coming through you rather than it being in your head and then churned out. And
there's a lot in sport, people talk about the state of flow, and everything just happened, it was magic. And I was like, I think probably it's to do with rehearsal and practice and skills and blah blah blah. And I think so. For me, there's definitely something, and maybe that's about being part of. I think it is being part of a team and knowing that there's a purpose that's much higher or much bigger than anything that I could ever dream. Yeah, I love that. Any last favourite quotes before we finish? Just because you're a quote lady. One that I really love, and this has come a lot. It's a Walt Whitman quote, but from Ted Lasso. I was going to talk about Ted Lasso, but then I was the dart scene. Yeah. Be curious, not judgmental, and that for me, curiosity is that's one of my guiding principles, and the ability to look beyond the obvious and kind of just wonder, why is that? Why is that? How could that be different? I see it. I think I see so many people, and I believe if we were more curious, if we could suspend our judgment, then I think we would, going back to gender equality, I think if we could look beyond how things have always been done and just be like, that's interesting, why are there no women in this place? What's the cause of that? Then I think we would find some solutions much quicker. Yeah, there's something about that kind of leadership too that I love. I am now always wary of people that are so certain, and now I can listen out to people that can not
with feeling, not having no confidence, but it's a way that people will be open enough in their own understanding that it's not so certain. But I think, generally don't trust that. And so there's something around that too. And do you call yourself a leader?
It depends who I'm talking to. So if I'm talking to people that I kind of like, there maybe I suss them out as a bit creative, I'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm a chaser of dreams, and then it opens a conversation. So there is on some of my like email stuff, it does say leader. My research interest is authentic leadership.
Okay.
And that's, so I mean, we could sit and talk for 4 hours, which probably is not the right time. But there's a lot of in the literature talks about authentic leadership being what's needed in times of challenge, and in times of like in the ever changing fast pace,
like
and
now.
Absolutely now. And actually being a leader starts with, do I see myself as a leader? Do I see myself as somebody who can potentially influence others? And I think it's shifting that. And I've written a chapter for a book that challenges the myths of leadership in sport. And often we think of leaders as the chair of the board. We think of leaders as the CEO and the people who make decisions. What if we switched that and believed that each and every one of us had the potential to influence and to lead others just by being who we are? If we're absolutely certain about who we are and what we stand for, and we know that our actions and how we carry ourselves and how we show up absolutely aligns with what we believe, other people will naturally follow us. And there's a brilliant video, I think it's called you have to be a little bit careful when searching for it. It's like man dancing at festival, and it's about first followership.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
And again, that for me is really, because that's leadership.
Yeah.
And it's not about a person with power and influence and authority. Actually, it's about somebody who absolutely knows who they are, turning up in the world, and making sure that their behaviours are consistently aligned with that.
I agree so much. I just don't see it that often in leadership roles.
No, and I think that's one of the things I always look at and get so mad with is people say, oh, there's loads of women in politics these days. They are, but watch how they behave. And so I think what we see is very inauthentic leadership, and we see people behaving in a way they think the system expects them to behave. Yeah, I think quiet leadership as well is that sort of. So what I do see from some of the women that we work with in the various programs is that actually what they're saying is, I have held my own, I am making changes. So I think if we look for the smaller, often I can't remember where I saw it, there was something on Instagram I think today, it was like, look for the small things, because if you keep looking for the big things, you'll miss the things that matter. So I think if we can kind of look at the small opportunities and the small times when people are coming back and saying, hey, that thing we did, I took it into my workplace and look at the impact that I've got. Yeah. And it will take time.
I just think leadership needs a
tough.
rebrand. Yeah. We need to maybe define it differently, because what we define it as quite often isn't actually leadership. It's just whoever gets the most spotlight or whoever shouts the loudest. Yeah. But that's not actually what leadership is. Yeah. It actually drives me crazy too, and I'm not even in the sector.
And you know what I love this, and what I love is when I was writing my PhD dissertation, I found thesis, whatever it's called, there was a quote that I used which basically said, there is no one definition of leadership. It's like scholars over the years have tried to define it, but actually if you look, there is no one. And I love that, because what that says to me is we can create our own. Yeah, true. So it gives us the ability to be like, hey, nobody's defined it yet, so what's stopping us really? What's stopping us, as you said, offering a redefinition? And I think if we're able to do that with enough people, it's like the ripple effect. If you throw enough stones into a flat, you'll create that ripple. And I think that's, one of my guiding principles is making a difference. And that's not in a big grand way. It's the belief that every conversation, every interaction I have with somebody has the potential to make a difference. And I would prefer that to be positive than negative. And I think if we can all kind of cascade some of that somewhere, then we stand a better chance of creating the change that, we definitely need in the world. Yeah.
That leaves me with a lot of hope. Thank you. And thanks for the work, because I think you're right. It's the kind of true, quiet, constant work that's going to make the real change. And we're just so used to being bombarded with the fake shiny stuff that's loud and in our face. And a lot of people think that's where we're trying to get to, and it's, well, that's not where I'm trying. That's obviously not where you're trying to get to either, but we see a lot of it. So yeah, it's good to hear these other things are happening. And thank you so much for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
To show your support, please like and subscribe to this podcast. If you'd like to learn more and stay connected to Tribe Porty and Working for Progress, please visit tribeporty.org. There you can subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where we share monthly blogs offering insights into how we craft our working lives. This has been Working for Progress. We hope you join us again.